afternoon, good evening, and good morning, Your Excellencies and distinguished participants, high-level participants of this special occasion in the sense that we are going to, as the United Nations turns 75, we look forward to something that is unique for Africa, and that is the formal inauguration of the Center for Transformative Advancement of Development in Africa, CITADA. And we'd like to use the opportunity to thank Gregory University for hosting this center, and as well as the Barrister Juni and Ari Menakaya Foundation International, and the Center for Sustainable Development Goals, Global Education in the United States of America. We also want to thank in a special way the United Nations General Assembly for approving this, this inaugural center. I must tell you that I would like to do a recap of a nursery rhyme of yore. That nursery rhyme says, the day is bright and fair. Oh, happy day. The day is bright and fair. Oh, happy day of joy. It's a joyous moment for Africa, it's a joyous moment for Nigeria, it's a joyous moment for the global world. For the first time in the history, that this, in view of the call to action by the United Nations Secretary General Antonio, that all sectors of society to commit and mobilize in a decade for action, a decade from 2020 to 2030. And this center is very unique. It is a center for professional development, a center for offering executive program for the purpose of enabling the vision of CITADA being focused in a response to the global impact for Africa. And I must tell you that this is just the inaugural ceremony. The Chancellor's speech is very apt, but I'm aware of the fact that Gregory University Utru has put in place the structure has been put in place to ensure that the smooth take-off of this center. I must in a special way also thank Dr. Ada. Dr. Ada has been very wonderful, our global director, who has, spearheaded this affair. I know that 3.5 hours or 3 hours today is really going to be inspiring, it's going to be exciting. So as all of us sit down to listen to the high-level conversation and discussion, delivery of good messages and all that, I think the sky is indeed the limit for us. So without much ado, I would like to invite in the program. I know the Honourable Minister is still waiting to come in because he'll be talking about the new normal and the future of education in Nigeria.
Honourable Minister is in. He's in.
Is he here now?
Yes.
The Honourable Minister is here now.
Yeah.
Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, the Nigeria is hosting this place, this center, and the Honourable, we are privileged to have Honourable Minister of State Education, Honourable Chukwu Emeka Nwajiomba, has a PhD in law, I interest you to note, and a highly cerebral, personable, reliable, and likable young man who has really, since he came into saddle with his colleague, Malam Adama, they have really turned the education ministry on the path to greatness. I think without much ado, can I, as a member of the panelists, invite the Honourable Minister of State for Education, Honourable Chukwu Emeka Nwajiomba, who will have the floor as a special guest, and he will be speaking on the new normal and the future of education in Nigeria. Honourable Minister, sir.
Yeah, waiting, yeah. Just
Unfortunately, the connection is lost with the Honorable Minister. I can note it on the there. The connection is lost.
The connection is lost. Okay.
Yeah, so you may need
While we wait for the Honorable Minister to come in, there's no cast in stone about this. Can we invite His Excellency Ambassador Dr. Arikana, to also give us a keynote presentation on the future we want, reaffirming collective commitment to the advancement of development for Africa. His Excellency Ambassador Dr. Arikana is the former ambassador of our African Union to the United States of America. You have the floor, Your Excellency. Ambassador Arikana, Dr. Arikana, Jombori, Kwai. Are we there for Her Excellency Ambassador Arikana, the former ambassador of the African Union to the United States of America? Check. Ambassador Arikana, is she on the floor there?
Please, she's not yet on the floor.
Okay, can we, on the same day, let's invite His Excellency Ambassador Dennis, the former Vice President of UNGA 69 session. Ambassador Dennis Antoine, the former Vice President of United Nations General Assembly during the 69 session. Can we have him on the floor as he will be speaking on the affirming of development for Africa? Yes, sir.
Ambassador and good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Reaffirming our collective commitment means that we have been committed and we are reaffirming. Now, being born outside of the continent of Africa, but Africa was born in me, it is a special privilege to be associated with champions for positive change, such illustrious intellectuals sitting on this panel today. Now, one of the best compliment I have had is one day when I was crossing the street in Brooklyn, New York, someone called out to me and asked, "Hey, what part of Nigeria are you from?" I stopped in my tracks and I went back to that person because it affirmed my African heritage. The person asked me, "Where in Africa were you born?" I said, "Wow. But I am from the African country Grenada in the Caribbean." Now, all sectors of our global village, that is our societies, are being called upon to remain committed to global action, to secure strong leadership, more resources, smarter solutions for the achievement of sustainable development goals. They're calling upon local action. Now remember, the Sustainable Development Goals are not UN goals. They were not made for the books that are put on your shelves. They are for harmonizing our local agendas. So local action is summoned to deepen changes in policy, budget, institutional infrastructure, and regulatory frameworks, good governance on the national, cities, local authorities. Good governance is required to stimulate action by the people. Now, this call to action must include engagement of our youth, because the record would show that Africa is a youthful continent. Now, civil society, the media, private sector, unions, and all other stakeholders are called upon to generate an unstoppable movement as we push forward. Now, in response to the call to achieve the required transformation, the Gregory University Utara Abia State, the Bad Juni and Irene Menakaya Foundation International, and the Center for the SDG Global Education USA have answered the clarion call to action through the establishment of the Center for Transformative Advancement of Development in Africa. Now, CITADA, as we are going to call it, we join the global community to mobilize for a decade of action in generating unstoppable movement for the desired outcomes. However, the global pandemic ushers in a new urgency for global collaboration. In order to realize advancement of transformative development in Africa, there must be sustained, realized advancement of transformation. There must be professional improvement and competence to engage efficiently and effectively in order to generate solutions for multidimensional challenges. Now, the Center for Transformative Advancement of Development in Africa is a professional development epicenter offering executive education programs for the purpose of enhancing sustainable transformation and progression of development in Africa. The center is a direct response to global impact on Africa, aimed at supporting the progress by bridging the gap between Africa and its diaspora, by plugging into the African power source, which we called the African diaspora. The vision is to contribute to professional expansion and knowledge production by inspiring young leaders for a new Africa. Now, CITADA, the center, acknowledges the strength of the principles of diversity, equity, and inclusion necessary to build and sustain communities that embrace shared values, identifies a fresh perspective leading to the sense of belonging for the future we want for Africa. These are the ideals of university. Now, I'm reminded that Sheikh is a Senegalese scholar. He said, and I quote, "The essential thing for people is to discover the thread that connects them to their most remote ancestral past." In the face of cultural aggression of all sorts, now this fact alone compels Africans to connect Africans on the continent and in the diaspora to improve relationships. Now, Anthony Diop went on to say, a people without a historical conscience is a population. Today, I say, we need managed approach to reclaim the cultural conscience and profit from the rich African cultural diversity which Africa is endowed with. Now, this center will work to uphold values and principles at Gregory University. Now, remember that the Center for SDG Global Education USA and the Bar Juni and the Aaron McAnder Foundation, the centers will serve as a catalyst for increased training, for deepening understanding, providing a platform for learning, transformation, and development with the goals of maintaining inclusive professional development and innovation. The center will partner with leading organizations and scholars to offer preparation for professional certification and development programs. The center will undertake and contribute to local, regional, and global competencies by contributing to learning frameworks aligned to the current UN Development 2030 Agenda and the African Agenda 2063. The population of sub-Saharan Africa is likely to double by 2050. The widespread usage of digital technology in sub-Saharan Africa is an essential phenomenon today that fosters productivity in the digital economy and integrates markets of that region. However, there is more digital handset telephones than there is electricity. The opportunities for broadening development in sub-Saharan Africa is broad. Now, it is predicted that by 2025, there will be more than 600 million mobile subscribers in sub-Saharan Africa. That is about 50% of the total population will be connected to mobile usage in sub-Saharan. Now, the economists found that while less than half the population has access to electricity, 2/3 own a mobile phone. Let's think about this for a moment. There is a clear-cut case for telecom in Africa. And that is where significant investment is already being made by governments and large corporations. So, CITAD, the center embarks on exploring ways to promote development, academic cooperation, through agreements within the fields that are mutually acceptable and subject to available resources. And the center will place emphasis on retraining, retooling, entrepreneurship, and re-engineering physical and institutional pillars of learning aimed at localizing the global agenda to stimulate productivity for the advancement of the African region. The center's offering will include, but not limited to, customized clients programs focused on youthful population of Africa. Now, it is critical that I take a small segue and say, we can't do this without the youths. Our youths must get on board. I have been promoting Get on Board, Children of the World, in the past few months, and the United Nations has joined me in bringing this message globally to young people. And I am sharing this to say that the youths are the guarantors of this future we want. So the center has a long list, but not all-inclusive list. And we would look at self-paced demand, remote, instructor-led, and blended certificate programs. We would look at conferences and events. We would customize masterclass certificate programs, collaborate with global academic institutions. Remember, there is a rich pool of experts in the African diaspora. Many of the Africans in the diaspora sit in high places in academia, in corporations. We're going to connect them. This center will be a bridge to make sure that there is a flow of the diaspora's worth into Africa. Joint research and education and academic, conferences, joint conferences and workshops for educators, entrepreneurs in the African region, organization of other academic exchanges agreeable to both institutions. CITADA will look at the model series, that is the personality model series to adapt to the African diaspora talents. And we will bring in faculty and international education exchange programs. All programs offered will include comprehensive and focused education strategy based on the criteria of Gregory University. Colleagues, I can go on because I get excited when I begin to feel Africa in me. Remember, there are more than 140 million Africans in the region that I come from, and we're not connected. 400 years ago, with lightning speed, they went across the Atlantic and brought slaves to the island. Today, there is no flight between Africa and the Caribbean. Could you imagine that? Could you imagine that? So the opportunity is boundless. And I am very pleased. I want to thank Dr. Ada Okika for her inspiration, for encouraging, and for making sure that she invites me and my colleagues from the Caribbean. I'm very pleased to see Dr. Harris, and I'm looking forward to being a witness to the transformative change for advancement in Africa. I thank you very much.
Ambassador Dennis, for that insight, for putting the Citadel mission in the proper context. I must tell you, we are very grateful for that insight. That this is like setting the stage for Citadel at Gregory University. Thank you so much, Your Excellency, Dr. Dennis. The next, can I invite Honorable Minister of State Education, Honorable Chukwemeka Nwajuba, PhD, to give us an insight on education, new normal of education in Nigeria. Honorable Minister, sir. That's His Excellency.
Good afternoon, sir. I'm sorry to be joining late.
Thank you.
The network has been very problematic. I'm not sure whether it's clear now. Good afternoon, everybody. We at the Ministry of Education are trying to keep abreast with all our developments. It's a challenging industry, being a foremost government institution trying to deliver power for the rest of Nigeria. Our work spans from primary school through to and making that fit into a responsive society for the benefit of all of us. What we do is plan curricula to fit into what the nation's demand for manpower is expected to be and where we're going with this. Throughout the institutions, cooperating with all the sub-nationals, because the primary education curricula is developed by us but has to be executed by the state governments, because the federal government is not a participant in primary education level. But at the secondary education level, where we are working with the rest of the country to ensure that that level of education takes on what is then agreed at the curriculum. This is the work of what the National Council on Education, which meets yearly to review what is available at all facets of our institute. We then expect that the where there are statements as players and as well as federal government as players, and that includes the universities, the polytechnics, and the colleges of education. So, in a holistic sense, the Federal Ministry of Education supervises what everybody is doing and regulates it in a way to ensure that we're producing the right kind of manpower. Right now, our challenge is with bringing everybody on stream with TVET. We have said we're now requiring people to be on the TVET platform to be able to incorporate technical skills into what we all do. That is a new force, and today we launched the Nigerian Science and Technology Policy to make education a whole lot more inclusive, so as to be able to deliver value for the workplace. Throughout the week, also we're around the teaching sector, trying to work out ways to improve national perception of teachers, improve their quality delivery. And in fact, the key to quality in the education sector. So in the three broad areas of access, the federal government has been committed to providing wide range access. Our former president would recall vividly, he put in place the National Open University system so that everybody from everywhere can study. This was almost futuristic in the sense nobody knew that we come to this online study required at this time. So the national universities were actually most prepared than most other nations to be able to take on students and be able to deliver learning. That's what we're trying to replicate with secondary schools and primary schools, where we have asked them to be at the forefront of delivering online content. We have provided a centralized online content where everybody can log in and from the Ministry of Education, and then continue from there. The state have done exceedingly well as well with, because using their own media, be they terrestrial or radio broadcast, then continue to disseminate it. I'm sure you also aware, because the country is a huge country, a lot of rural areas and a lot of urban poor persons, delivering content on platforms that are imported, handsets, laptops, radio, everything is dependent on how your prices do or how well those are done. So that even when the content is available, you will need to have a platform to access it. And then power is a change for many families as well, because again, none of this is indigenous to Nigeria. All of these are important technology. Everything developing low capacity for that has taken us a while, and then we're still not running up to stream. So whether it be the simplest things, batteries that the local governments to just power your radio, you still need to have to import batteries or anything. So really, while we can provide content, there's a lot of challenge with how the society is structured and all things that need to come together for knowledge to take this for each child. But be that as it may, we're attacking the key processes, like I said, of access. Access was an issue for a lot of people even before COVID. And unlike days, like I pointed out with what the former president did, was to grant access, whether at tertiary, second, lower level. Funding access was is actually key to expanding access. But we've also had a lot of developments around fiscal access with a lot of new schools built, new schools. Nigeria has nearly 121,000 primary schools scattered in 36 states and one federal capital territory. And consequentially, the number of people who are in school are actually on the rise. However, we still have a lot of out-of-school children. Most by United UNICEF standard report at about 10.5 million. We're taking measures with humanitarian ministry to provide alternate systems, which is trying to go and deliver learning at where they are. So whether they are anywhere you access school, physical, whether remote or be it at your point of interaction, will still need to assess quality. So even if you get a problem of access, you need to keep tooling quality. So quality depends largely on the people who teach, do delight, and have the tools that are available to them. That's why we're making a lot of effort on improving and reducing our teacher quality. Now, when we came in on this second leg of the administration, we are now ensuring that nobody can be a teacher in Nigeria if it's not registered with the Teacher Education Council. We've updated their curriculum. We are now taking everybody into digital schools to upgrade their knowledge and be able to get everybody running at the speed. That's not been easy, because that means a lot of manpower time being spent on trying to put everybody in the right frame or right shape. However, the COVID also has afforded everybody an opportunity to upscale learning, and in upscaling the learning to become either digital or they can come digital natives at the moment, but they will want to make digital migrants. As they become a little bit more versed in it, will improve how our children learn. After quality outcomes, like I said, part of the reason to incorporate skills and needs acquisition through all of the work schedule schools is because we just looked at our manpower is being like a lot of graduates find jobs because inadequate preparation going forward, or the base from where they started out. Foundations are quite weak in some cases and couldn't possibly be directed at this mid or the tertiary level. So you end with graduates that are made not necessarily fit for the modern economy we're driving. So the challenge has been to respond to what issue is, and today I opened the corporate that the Nigerian Economic Group Manufacturers Association of Nigeria and that fund, a tertiary education trust, organized with government to have all the three talking to each other on what you would normally call the full helix program. However, that had long begun, and we're just crystallizing some of it now, and gone ahead to launch the skills infusion, the methodology we spoke about, and trying to do all of this so that whoever comes out of school is ready to workplace, and who are already out of school, who are not fit for purpose, can be refitted with new knowledge. So, like I put out, the challenge is almost because only Nigeria is a vast country. Almost everything that they need is this is Western education, and the rest of the world ahead of us, and we are all playing catch up because we need to buy technology, buy everything from them. And then for 100 million people, the resources are extremely limited. And with monolithic economy, these up and downs with how the world economy fluctuates, investment in the sector are very limited. Not just for physical infrastructure, but for access to the things that work with it. However, we are confronting all of them and looking at them holistically, so we manage our resources the best we can, improve our human capacity delivery, and then be able to use little that is available, expand and reach many people as possible. So we need to commend all past UNICEF, UNESCO, Nigerian private entrepreneurs, because the bulk of our universities now are owned by private persons who are coughing out the resources to run this. So in the secondary school level, as well as in the primary school levels. So a lot of work is being done by Nigerians, and parents alike. Parents generally who took some of it during this period. We've continuously commended them and that they continue this course, because the job of educating our citizens is not just of government facilitate, regulates it, but it starts from the home. Whether you are with a lot of knowledge and no attitude, or with a lot of attitude and no knowledge, essentially it would be a function for all of us. And that's why the way we see that the Ministry of Education, and we're able to partner some more with everybody who can and should be participating. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Honorable Minister of State Education, Honorable Barrister Chukwuemeka, for that incisive, clear-cut deliverables for Nigeria as Nigeria faces the new normal occasioned by the pandemic in our educational system. Very clear, very unambiguous. Thank you so much for that insight. Before I invite
thank you very much,
thank you. Before I invite Dr. Menakaya, may I once again thank His Excellency Ambassador Serene for that wonderful donation you made to Honorable Minister of State for Education, Honorable Emeka, and President Obasanjo. Of course, after this program, I see that I will reach out to you. I will thank you so much for that donation, His Excellency Serene, Ambassador Serene. The next speaker is Dr. Jide Menakaya, who he was speaking on advancing intergenerational discourse on platform for learning in community classroom. Dr. Jide, you have the floor now.
Thank you, everybody. My name is Dr. Uche Menakaya. Jide Menakaya is busy at the moment, unfortunately. So as one of the board members of the Barrister Juni Menakaya Foundation, I'm stepping into standing for him. I bring you greetings from down under Australia, where it's about 2:30 a.m. And I'm glad that I can see so many faces from around the world. In particular, His Excellency, former President of Nigeria, Chief Olusegun Obasanjo. Now, it's a pleasure for me to be here today as part of this wonderful initiative with the inaugural launching of CTADA, the Center for Transformative Advancement of Development in Africa. Now, in September 2019, the Secretary General of the United Nations, Antonio Guterres, called on all sectors to commit to mobilizing for a decade of action on three very important levels. global action to secure greater leadership, more resources, smarter solutions for the advancement of the sustainable goals for development, local actions to embed the needed transitions in policies and budgets, infrastructure, and regulatory frameworks of governments, cities, and local authorities. And of course, people action, including engagement of youth, civil society, and all other stakeholders to generate an unstoppable movement as we move forward. It is in response to this clarion call that the Gregory University, Uturu in Abia State, the Barrister Juni and Irene Menakaya Foundation International, and the Center for SDG Global Education, USA, have come together to establish the CTADA, with the aim of joining the global community to mobilize for a decade of action in generating an unstoppable momentum to achieve these required transformations, especially in emerging and developing countries within Mother Africa. It is important that the advancement of such a transformative agenda in Africa seeks to maintain and improve continuity in our professional development and competency to engage effectively on a global stage in order to generate solutions for the multidimensional challenges that we face. This is especially important in this era of a global pandemic that has ushered in a new normal in global engagement. The CTADA, in responding to United Nations Secretary General's call, will therefore seek global action in partnerships with international agencies and institutions to secure resources, solutions, and improve knowledge and technology to advance sustainability on teaching and learning from grassroots to regional. We also take adequate action on people-oriented issues across all sectors and engagement for regional actions. CTADA will work as an epicenter of professional development to pull these goals into an integrative module offering educational as well as other programs for the purpose of enhancing the transformation and advancement of development in Africa. CTADA will also respond to emerging issues like the current global pandemic, evaluating its impact on the African communities with the aim of developing workable strategies that can and will bridge the gap between the diaspora and Mother Africa, especially in the area of education. These goals are consistent with the vision of the Barrister Juni and Irene Menakaya Foundation International, which my siblings and I set up in honor of our parents. Our parents, following their return from United Kingdom in the early 70s, introduced the first ever formal early learning program for preschool children under the age of 5 in Eastern Nigeria. It was their contribution to efforts to bridge the gap between children in diaspora and African children. Their motto, "My child is my pride," remained a core principle of their professional life up until their death. Hence, a core objective of the Barrister Juni and Irene Menakaya Foundation International is to provide solutions to the educational needs of the less privileged and encourage innovation in community classrooms. Specifically, the foundation will work to improve education, teaching, and learning facilities, providing scholarships and educational support services, building capacity of educators and retired teachers networks, as well as promoting the advancement of quality and inclusive education at all levels in our communities. These principles are even more relevant today, especially in the context of the coronavirus pandemic. Indeed, at the first annual legacy lecture of our foundation on the 22nd of August 2020, expressed opinions through presentations and shared conversations, including an excellent presentation by the Honorable Minister of Education, Barrister Chukwuemeka Nwajobi, called for online and remote learning, considerations for poor marginalized communities in any technological development, an education system that must be adaptive to a changing environment and not be business as usual, adequate teacher training, curricula across levels of education must be revised in order to fit into the challenge of COVID pandemic. Of course, upskilling in technology must be affordable, available, accessible, and also acceptable. The lecture also called for greater involvement of parents and inclusive learning with consideration for the use of local language in education. To ascribe to a transformative advancement or development for Africa, we must address the need for a balanced education in its totality. Your Excellency, President Olusegun Obasanjo, the Honorable Minister of State for Education, Federal Republic of Nigeria, Barrister Nwajobi, His Royal Highness, diplomatic ambassadors here present, in particular, Ambassador Dennis Antoine, who dedicated his time and leadership and guided the development and establishment of this initiative. Also, a shout out to Chief Professor Greg Ibe, who shared this vision and brought in the famous Gregory University, Uturu, as part of the CITADA mission for Africa. We are excited that this commitment of shared interest and our partnership in CITADA provides a platform to work towards addressing the challenges of providing quality and inclusive education for our children, ensuring that we bridge the gap of sustainable education in Africa, especially in areas of education in line with the 2030 agenda. Let's all here present lean on the words and opinions of these distinguished guests here today, and in commitment, surrender to step up action together for our continent. Finally, we thank all the excellencies here today, present for the formal launch of CITADA, especially our former president, whose influence in expanding the educational landscape in Nigeria remains a model for emulation for other countries. Thank you so much for listening.
Dr. Jide Menakaya, thank you so much for that insight with respect to advancing intergenerational discourse on platform for learning in community. Thank you. And the legacy of your parents, your posterity beckons. Thank you for that, Dr. Chenna. Yeah, we are coming into the high point of this ceremony, of this inaugural launch. We'll be inviting to the man who rose by dint of hard work, a man who believed that education remained the key for sustainable development, and a man who all his life is about investment on education, education, education. And I'm talking of no other person than the Chancellor and the founder of Gregory University, the likable and the personable, reliable, presentable Professor Gregory Ibe. He is going to launch the Center for Transformative Advancement. He's going to have an inaugural speech, a very short speech, concise, straightforward. So let me welcome the one and only Professor Gregory Ibe, OFR. Of course, our President Obasanjo conferred him other did that, and the President is here too. So, Professor Gregory Ibe, you have the floor. Chancellor, founder, Gregory University.
Thank you very much, Professor Noah. My sincere regards to all the excellencies, ambassadors, and indeed my father, President Obasanjo. We're having serious problem of rain here, and the network has been off and on. I welcome everybody to today's event. I'm delighted that the formal launch of the Center for Transformation and Advancement of Development in Africa, CITADA, is domiciled in our university, and that is happening today. I'm also delighted that my father and boss, whom we copy whatever he does, and I do remember that we had to brief him on how when he wanted to revamp the educational system in Nigeria. I mean, President Obasanjo. So I went with UNESCO to brief him, and then that became presidential initiative that he adopted for the reform of Nigerian educational system. So we thank God that he's today witnessing what he taught us how best to do, working with best practices. I'm also delighted that this center, which has received the blessing of United Nations General Assembly, UNGA, is another milestone recorded by our university and indeed my country, Nigeria. Barely 8 years we were given the nod to start this university. I strongly believe in this maxim that the reward for hard work is to work more harder. Permit me to say here, Your Excellencies and distinguished guests, that COVID-19 pandemic did not affect our academic timetable, as lecturers and scholars alike adjusted using online platforms for learning. As I speak to you now, our school, both the scholars that we call them, they are writing the examination at the same time observing all non-protocols. I believe this must have informed the choice of our university to host the center. All through the COVID period, the Office of
The network, the rain is falling here in Abuja. We lost it.
Can you call in His Excellency?
This network.
Thank you very much. I'm back again.
Thank you. Thank you.
The network went off. Do I continue?
Thank you. Yeah. Continue. Because from here, President Obasanjo will be invited now to inaugurate.
If my boss is online, I will better wait. Let him inaugurate, please.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, Your Excellencies, and all that, please permit me at this point in time to invite the man who is an influencer, a global influencer, the man who we're praying to attain the age of 120 years. And the man is very strong, and we don't have any doubts. We pray for him that he will continue to be stronger and stronger. The man that has made, when the Minister of Education was talking about education, he mentioned National Open University. And I must tell you that this man, in his humility, made him to go back to university to have a PhD of course of that National Open University which he formed. Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, excellencies, permit me to welcome His Excellency Olusegun Obasanjo, PhD, to formally inaugurate the Citadel Center. Your Excellency, sir.
Thank you very much, Professor Noah. Let me start by welcoming all of you who are participating in this unique and very, very unique institution that is formally coming into existence today. Let me also take this opportunity to congratulate Professor Ibe, a man that I've known for many, many years. And if there's anything that Professor Ibe is concerned about, it is education. His breakfast is education. His lunch is education. His dinner is education. And I want to congratulate him on the establishment of the Gregory University in Uturu, Abia State. Prof, more grease to your elbow. Let me also appreciate those who have spoken before I am called to perform the formal inauguration of this center. And as the concept note points out, and as most of the speakers have pointed out, the Secretary General of the United Nations, my friend Antonio Guterres, rightly said while launching the 70th anniversary of the United Nations that we should stress the theme of the future we want. And if we are going to all have the future we want, it will go beyond talk. As the Americans say, talk is cheap. It will have to involve action. And I again want to congratulate Professor Ibe because it starts with action. Action of establishing a center to do what needs to be done. A center that will galvanize, that will bring together, that will actually mobilize action and mobilize people for the world and the future we want. The future we want at all levels. The future we want at the family level. The future we want at the community level. The future we want at the local level. The future we want at the national level. The future we want at the sub-regional level. The future we want, and we started that with the 50th anniversary of OAU, the Africa we want. Now we can say the future we want, the world we want. How can we bring that world about? And the Center for Transformative Advancement of Development in Africa will be one of the main instruments of contributing from African point of view, from African standpoint, to the future, the global, the future that we want for the world in which we live in. I therefore have the great pleasure, I have the honor, and I have the satisfaction, and I'm looking forward with great hope that this institution that we will set up today, the Center for Transformative Advancement of Development in Africa, will usher in for all of us a better community, a better locality, a better nation, and a better Africa, and indeed a better world for all of us. So this center is thereby inaugurated and commissioned to the honor and glory of God and for the benefit of all of us in Africa and all of us, the citizens of the world. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Can we will appreciate, the screenshots of His Excellency.
Please unmute yourself and appreciate His Excellency.
Let's clap. And on that note, I would like to invite His Excellency, Ambassador Dennis. Ambassador
Thank you very
Dennis.
much, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ambassador Dennis, I want you to take the microphone to appreciate President Obasa.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, Excellency.
It is a unique pleasure to be in your presence, Mr. President, former President. When I wrote you into my book. When you asked me a question while you were in Washington, when I lined up to shake your hand, you said, "Where are you from?" Because I was not from the continent. So in my book, I answered you, "I am from the African country, Grenada in the Caribbean." And you embraced me. That was when you launched the New Africa Initiative in Washington. So today I am honored, very honored to be in your presence, and thank you for your embracing the vision that we have for Africa, because you are the pioneer. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Your Excellency. Thank you so much. Your Excellency, it reminded me of course, President Obasanjo was very behind New Partnership for Africa's Development in the past. And you can see he has, the history and posterity is on his side again to come and launch this particular citadel too. Your Excellency, posterity becomes on you. And we are going to wish you how many years? 120 years. You'll be stronger and stronger to the glory of God. Thank you, Your Excellency, for this. And I think we have
time we invite the Global Director for Citadel. We are going to the next outcome and after next. The advancement of development for Africa, Citadel agenda. Dr. Ada Junior Kika, Global Director for Citadel, will let us know. Dr. Ada.
You're on mute. Dr.
Ada, you're on mute. Can you unmute yourself? Okay, brilliant. Okay.
I didn't know it has moved so fast to get to me. I don't know where
I know. I know, but it's almost 7:30, so.
I'm so excited that this has really become a reality.
Absolutely. Congratulations to you. Congratulations to you. Congratulations to you. Yes. You and Professor Magnus. Yes. Congratulations. Congratulations. That's
So
amazing.
he's really excited wonderfully well that we've taken this vision to this far. And
Yes.
I want to start by saying that when I was a teenager, growing up with my late parents, our dad would always tell us that whatever you are doing, think of your people. And he will always refer us to what Moses' mother told him when he was being taken to Pharaoh. He said, "Nekwa gị na-agabe Pharaoh, lotakwa na ị bụ onye Jew." So he said, look at you going to dine with Pharaoh. Remember that you are Jew. So this has touched me. This has made me to grow. That wherever I am, whatever I do, fight ambassador, and try always know that even at the United Nations, once you talk Dr. Ada, if you don't know Dr. he said Dr. Ada in Nigeria. So, so it's always been my passion to always think of, but I used to tell them that when I get to Africa, I talk of Nigeria. When I come to Nigeria, I talk of IGBO, Igbo woman, you know, the Igbo, and that is why I'm so excited that this initiative is being planted today in the Igbo land. And I'm happy with my sister Rosie. When I saw her, in fact, I had expected her to speak in Igbo. When I saw a video that was circulating where she was talking about her position in Igbo language, I said I must get her to this event.
You sent that to me. You sent it to me.
I sent it to you. So I said I must bring her to this event. She must come back home and let people know that, yes. And incidentally, I never knew she's from Abia State, where Uturu is located, where Green University is. So it's a wonderful thing to have all of you there. And I don't want to say more on my mentor and father at the United Nations, Ambassador Dennis Antoine. You know, one of the days, the first time I knew him in 2014, I made a small statement at the UN. And as he was going, he said, "Where are you from?" I said, "I'm from the giant of Africa." He said, "Where?" I said, "Nigeria." He said, "Come and see me in your office, my office. Your statement is very, very, very meaningful." I've forgotten the word he used that time. So when I went to see him in the office, I told you, he asked me what I told you. We are civil societies, we're eco-social status, we are the corridors of NGOs and communities, and he picked me up and brought my knowledge at the UN today. So when the Center for SDG started, he kept on telling me that you are doing wonderfully. Then he had left the UN for China, but we kept in constant communication, and he kept telling me that what you are doing should be put under an umbrella, under a house. You've done a lot, put them under a house. And I shared with him about the vision of my late parents of how they want the education of the African child. You know, it's a very, very interesting thing, because when my late mom wanted to read company secretary, my dad said, "You are going to be a teacher, you are." And not only being a teacher, but an infant teacher. You know, in those days, they called them Ndi Nkuzi Otakara. You know, so it happened that she went all the way to University College London and read infant education, and came back to Nigeria and started infant education, opened a school that was named after her death, Irene Menakaya School on Nature. The essence is to educate the Igbo child to be like their counterpart overseas. And that's what we have maintained, and decided to expand it to what is it that I thank God for my junior brother, Dr. Uche Menaka, who made this presentation. This is all what we are brought up. And I'm pleased that that upbringing gave the 7 children of them into a major profession: educationists, 3 medical doctors, 2 engineers, and a lawyer. So you see that they believed in the indoctrination on education, on making a future for the world, for the Igbo child. So that gave back to Sitada, and I'm most grateful to Ambassador Antoine for packaging it In fact, this Center for Transformative Advancement Development for Africa, he coined the word. He made the word, the name came entirely from him. And it is important that now that Citada is giving birth, is born today, live by His Excellency, Mr. President Obasanjo, we have to now take it up further. It is a challenge to all of us who are now directors or positions or coordinators at the Center for Development, Transformative Development Advancement for Africa, to make sure that this day does not die. It is very, very important that we address issues that Citada will work to have a community-wide responsibility to uphold in defense to shared values and principles at the Grigor University, the Center for SDG, and the Bajuni and Irene Menakaya Foundation and beyond. Citada will provide executive education and professional certificate programs for government bodies, corporate agencies and institutions, organizations and large groups. It will serve as a catalyst for increased training for deepening understanding, providing platform for learning, transformation, and development with the goal of maintaining inclusive professional development and advancement. The center will partner with leading organizations, as has been said, and scholars to offer preparations for professional certificate exams and development programs. Citada will undertake to impact on the advancement and growth of development at the local, regional, and global by developing learning frameworks aligned to the current UN Global Development Agenda 2030 and African Union 2063. Citada undertakes to employ ways in which they will promote and develop academic cooperation through a future agreement within fields that are mutually acceptable and subject to available resources. Citada will place emphasis on major components of its curriculum that involves the retraining, retooling, and re-engineering physical and institutional pillars of learning in localizing the global agenda, actualizing professional growth, and advancement of the African region. Citada will undertake to serve educational needs of many professionals, including primarily with the transformative advancement of executive education certificate, but not limited to customized programs, such as customized client programs, self-paced and on-demand remote instructor-led or blended certificate programs, conferences and events, customized masterclass certificate programs, collaborations with other regional academic institutions, exchange of academic information periodicals and other publication materials, joint research, and I thank God for Mr. Zikora, my brother, who mentioned one of his highlights and good word to us on research. He encouraged us to go into research. So one of these agenda is a joint research on education and academic circumstances in the developing countries. We also have to encourage joint conferences and workshops for educators and entrepreneurs in African region, addressing vocational trading and all that can make an African man independent and looking inwards to national and regional development. Organization of other academic exchanges agreeable to both organizations. We're also looking at Citada personality model series. Personality model series, trying to bridge gap or bring together personalities that had made impact in the development of Africa. We say this because when you Google some people in United States and across the world, 18 something, you see them, you read about them. But come to Africa, Google somebody in 1970, you will not see anybody. So it is important that Citada also address the personality model series in order to ascertain sustainability and the future we are talking about for Africa. We are looking at Citada Legacy Forum and Citada Alumni, and also faculty and international education exchange programs. Citada will work to ignite action from this moment that the kickoff of this center on each program will include comprehensive and focused education, strategy, and social enterprise in January 2021. January 24, in fact, we must, on or before January 24, to start the first program on this center, because January 24 is the United Day for Education, and that day must be the kickoff. We will take between now until end of the year to develop on the curriculum based on the wonderful presentation and guidance and goodwill messages to actually come up with an actual package for the programs of this center. And I encourage you to help us to be with us, support us to accelerate learning to advance professionalism in the new normal on the future we want for Africa. I thank you.
Well done.
Thank you so very much. This has been very enlightening, and I know you keep your promises.